My name's Raj Shroff, and I am based in Columbus, Ohio, so I live up here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm founder and principal of a company called Pine Strategy and Design, and I'm also the father to two young boys, 12 and 9. Um, Pine is a boutique consulting firm, so that means like we're a small consulting firm that works in experience design. We mostly work with retailers and CPG companies and help them solve problems. So if you've shopped in a Target or a Walmart or a Dollar General or CVS, you might have seen some of our work. We work with a lot of consumer goods companies, so Pepsi's, Cokes, anyone that sells a product in the store works and usually will hire us to do things on understanding how people shop, um, what things they can do, those retailers or those categories can do to make more purchasing more interesting and make more purchases, getting people to find the right products. Um, we do research. I mean, I think that's a super interesting topic. So we kind of have a couple of different things that we do: research, strategy, and design. And to explain a little bit more, if you think about environment design, it's what a space looks like. Graphic design is, maybe you're familiar with that if you see a billboard or a sign in the store. And then digital design, websites, things like that. And then we do some exploration in the metaverse and some of that 3D stuff too. Research-wise, we talk about, how we go into people's homes and we ask them questions. How do you use this product? Why did you buy this product? Where do you store this product? What do you think this company could do better? What could Walmart do better to make your shopping easier? So those are the kind of things that are really fun when we get to, interact with people and then help create solutions for those businesses. My career path, for all you, I want to inspire you. I never had a career, like a straight career path. I was envious of the people that'd be like, I'm going to be an accountant. And then they just took the straight path right to the accountant, or I'm going to be a lawyer. And they took this. Mine is much more winding and weaving, and and I'm still weaving and winding. And I think that's awesome. I love that. I think that's totally fine. The most interesting people I know weave and wind their whole life. But I was a pretty good student in school, and I wasn't a 4.0 student or any brainiac, but I did pretty well. And I think one of the challenges for me was I didn't have to work too hard. And then I got to a point when I didn't have the right training on how to work hard, and I didn't know how to work hard. And so it was like, okay, my, you know, not needing to study very much isn't going to help me. Now I've got to figure out how to study because things got harder. And I think that was, something that I had to just figure out as I went. But I ended up deciding after high school to go into college directly, started in chemical engineering. I did that for a few semesters, realized I did not ever want to be an engineer. I just was good in chemistry, and my dad was an engineer, and I was like, I guess I'll do that. But after that, I thought I could not, it just was not interesting to me. The classes weren't interesting, and it required a lot of studying, and I don't think I was really prepared to study that hard and really knew how to study that hard. So then I wandered a little bit in school until a friend of mine said, you can design your own major. And he's a super smart guy. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty interesting. So I went to the College of Specialized Studies program, and I went and said, I'd like to build my own major based on my interest and passions. And so I put together this major, and it was fun. I got to take all kinds of different classes. I took science classes, I took business classes, I took language classes, and I really tried to go after some things that I enjoyed. And I didn't really know like what that would lead to after college. So that got me through college and got my degree, and and then once I got out of there, came kind of another milestone. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I looking back, I think that's okay. Guys I knew, people I knew, were getting great jobs doing things all over the country and maybe different parts of the world, and I thought maybe I'll just travel. So I ended up working with some friends and painted houses right after college. And I did because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I just knew I wanted to make some money and then go travel and not take anything too seriously. But I knew I needed to figure something out soon, so I did that. Traveled to India right after graduation, and saw some family there. Had a great time. Came back and just did some jobs that I'd done in college. I worked in the mall. I painted houses, and I lived with a buddy of mine. We got an apartment together, and then I finally found a job at a public relations firm, and I got that job, and I was doing writing, and I wasn't a writer, but I passed a writing test, and they called me back for an interview. So I was like, okay, this seems cool. And what I liked about that company was there was a lot of creativity, and I got to meet the founder, and he was this older man, like you meet like your grandfather kind of guy. And he started the company, built it to 45 people, and was super caring guy. And I really enjoyed that for a while. But then I was living with one of my buddies, and he said, "Hey, my friend and I are going to start a company doing like web stuff." And this is back, in 2000. And I said, "Well, that sounds pretty interesting. Tell me more." And he's like, "Well, we need a sales guy. Can you do that for us?" And I said, "Yeah, I can do that for you." So figured out what sales meant, and we started a company. I went back to the owner of the PR firm and I said, "Dan, I've been here 3 months. You took a risk and hired me. I appreciate it, but I'm going to leave and start a company with some friends." And he said, "Good. You don't have a wife. You don't have kids. You don't have any overhead or anything to worry about. Go do it. If it doesn't work out, call me. You can have your old job back." And I was like, man, that is awesome. And I've met and worked for a couple of owners of companies. No one has ever been as gracious and awesome as him. And so I went out, started the business with a buddy. We did that for, most of my 20s, I was self-employed. And I probably never made enough money, but I made enough to like have fun and get by. And and then around late 20s, I sort of had a midlife crisis, and I thought, I don't know how this is going to work, but I will go get an MBA. So I went back to school and got an MBA part-time while I was working. And then I stumbled into, the web stuff was creative, but I ended up wanting to go back and get a job and see what people that were at the time when I was 30, like, what are they doing? So in the MBA program, I got to see all the different kinds of things these people in my class were doing. And I found a job at a creative firm and took a job in the account role. And that's really the field I've been in ever since. And I think I stumbled on that because I needed a job. I wanted something creative. And I found this company on a website, and it was like they worked all over the world in design with all these huge companies. Like, wow, these look pretty cool. And at that point, we lived in Columbus, Ohio. And so I sent in my resume and went through a couple of interviews. I ended up getting a job that I didn't interview for, because when they interviewed me, they're like, "You interviewed for this job, but we think you'd be better for this job." And I said, "Okay, if you guys know that, I'll give it a shot. It sounds cool." Met the people, and they were really cool. And then I've been in that industry ever since. And then 5.5 years ago, I went out on my own, and I started what's called Pine, and we're doing similar kind of work. And I built a lot of great relationships over the last, since that first company until where I worked last, and built a great reputation. And so I had enough contacts and a good reputation to go out on my own. And when I went on my own, those clients that I had at my old firm said, "Well, we want to go with you." And so that became the foundation of my business. And so, I think that reputation, that is huge, right? It's like my kids love Nike because Nike makes great product. They've got great creative people. They stand for something. That's reputation. We are the same, right? Humans have brands, and you are known by, are you creative? Do you work hard? Do you deliver? Are you Nike, or are you some other brand? And so I felt like I worked on building that Nike type brand in my industry, and then that was enabled me to go out and start this on my own. And we do the similar kind of work. I also teach at a college of art and design, and that's really fun for me. So I teach freshmen coming in, and they have all different design majors. And so I do these kind of discussions with them on where my career went, how it, some of the things I had learned from that. And that's been really, really interesting to work with kids that are, I call them kids, but like 18, 19, and 20. At this stage, they could be my kids. And just help them figure out where they want to go with that 4 years, and the kind of reputation they want to build, and the things that I think would be helpful for their success, mostly to help, them learn from all the experiences that I've had. So that, that's been pretty interesting. I really stumbled into this field, and I'm super lucky because I would do the work I do now for free. I really love it. Most days are amazing. My day to day, I'm in my home office now because it's after dinner here, but I have an office that's about 10 minutes away from my house, and it's very creative space. And most of the time and now everyone's remote. We're still all remote. Sometimes like tomorrow, we'll all get together. We are a small team of 6 people. We'll be ideating. We got whiteboards and stuff on the wall. We're drawing ideas, sketching out different concepts. I might be on phone calls with clients presenting our work. Some of the designers might be presenting stuff to us, or we're all just looking at pictures. And tomorrow we're actually going to go out to a mall near here called Easton and look at a new Amazon style store. And we're going to look at Sephora and Ulta because we're doing some stuff in like beauty care. So we want to go out and see what's happening in this space. And this mall is pretty known for having like new concepts. So Victoria's Secret's headquartered here, and some of those businesses are, put their best concepts at Easton. So we'll go walk that, see what they're doing as a team, and then we'll take a ton of pictures, and then we'll come back to the studio and we'll put all those up, or we'll do it on a digital whiteboard, and we'll just start to get our ideas, right? So we just start flowing, like, how could we do this? What would we do here? What would we do if Target wanted to do that? So that's my day-to-day is that. And then I do have like boring elements in my day where I'm doing, number stuff and making sure people are getting paid and going through bills, and had a call with my accountant this morning. And I mean, there's definitely things that I would like to hire someone else to do. But those are part of being a small business owner, is you got to wear a lot of hats. For me, like most critical skill or experience, I think I've always worked hard. And I think that, integrity is number one. So it's like, no matter what I do it with the best of intentions. I care about the people I work with. I care about my clients. I care about my team. I care about them as people, not as an employee or just that dimension. I care about the whole person. And I'm passionate and love what I do. So I think that comes through with the care. But, for people coming into this world as a professional world, I would say, what's your reputation? How are you known? Are you known as someone that works hard? Are you known as the Nike? What are you going to do to build that? Because that reputation is going to carry with you far. And those college students I teach, I'm like, look around, and I teach about 150 students. I'm like, all the 149 students are looking at you, and they're going to know, is that person, do I want to be in that group with that person? Because after a quarter or, knowing someone, you're going to get a good idea. And if you get a bad reputation, you're hard to work with, you're lazy, you don't do what you're supposed to, it is very hard to turn that around. But if you get a good reputation, that can carry you very far. So for me, it's been about doing hard work, having integrity. I think the other thing is not being afraid to tell people you don't understand something. Hey, I'll be the first person in the room. I don't care if I look like an idiot. What I found is in a room full of 20 really, really smart people, 90% of people are afraid to say they don't understand. For me, I don't know if I'm just dumb. I'll raise my hand like, I don't understand. And then everyone's like, oh man, I'm glad you asked that question. So they're looking for someone to look dumb because they're all afraid to ask the question. But I can't get up and leave a room if I don't understand what the client wants me to do. And then what do I do if I say I understand, walk out and don't really understand? So I think, in the integrity piece, the working hard, and then not being afraid to say you don't know, say you don't understand something, say you need help, because that builds integrity, right? It's like, this guy's honest, this person's telling the truth, they're not afraid, they seem like someone I can trust, and then those people might open up to you and you can help them out. So there's definitely that. I think the networking is big, building relationships. So like through this program, you're meeting people, you're meeting very talented people that are your age, that are older, that are mentors. Take advantage of that, build those relationships. And I mentor students at Ohio State, and I get students of different grades, usually sophomores and juniors. The first thing I do is introduce them to people that I know, and I have them build relationships with people beyond me, because I know 5 people, that other person knows 5 people, that other person knows 5 people. So if you think about like being in that class of 149 people, if each of those people knows 5 people, you know how many people you know? I mean, half of my job is connecting. I look into LinkedIn and I go, I'm connected 1 connection away from that person. Hey, hey, Jane, can you introduce me to Larry? Okay, great, whatever. And I think that network is huge because that will help you. And then you also help other people through that network. So you're constantly introducing people, helping people, asking for when you need help. I think the other thing is don't wait till you need someone to reach out. If you keep up a relationship on a regular basis, even if it's shooting them an email, shooting them a text, hey, what's going on? Was thinking about you. You know, if you saw something that happened in the news in their town, hey, saw that a tornado hit your town. Hope you guys are doing okay. May not talk to him for another year, but they'll remember that. So, and be sincere about it. It's like, if you care, keep up with people. Don't just not talk to someone for 5 years and then one day be like, hey, I really need you now. I need help. Because that, I think, can turn people off depending on the relationship. I think those are really big things there. And then what I like most about my job is creativity, ideas. We tend to have people who come to us and they say, we know something's wrong, but we're not sure what. We don't know what the question is. And in this design field, if you've got a creative mind, there's a lot of a need for that. There's a lot of need for helping people see things differently, coming up with new ideas, coming up with new concepts, asking new questions. Because I think there's, now more than ever, that creativity is in demand. And I feel like a lot of creative people feel like they don't fit because the world is catered to very linear thinking people. And a lot of businesses are structured around A, B, C, D. A lot of schooling is A, B, C, D. So if you feel like a little bit out of place, but you feel like you're smart and you've got good ideas, maybe you should be in a creative field. Maybe you can explore that. And even if you're not good in design, I'm not even talking about design. I'm just talking about thinking differently, coming up with new ideas. I mean, there's so many jobs you could take, so many different career paths. And so that kind of is what I really like the most, is that creativity, helping people think, see things differently. And then I've got, I think some people work and do the same thing all the time. As a consultant, I could have 5 different projects today. So like this morning I woke up and we were talking about food. And then later in the day I was talking about skincare products. And then later in the day I was talking about healthcare products. And then later in the day I was talking about truck drivers and gas stations. So it's like in one day I'm talking about 5 or 6 different things and 5 or 6 different topics. And to me, like with my brain, the way it works, like that's really cool. It'd be very hard for me to work on one project for like 5 years and just talk about the same thing all the time. But if that's your thing, that's great. That's what I love about what my job is. It's like always different, keeps my attention span going, keeps me on my toes. From an advice standpoint, I think you should, go out and get experience, meet new people, talk to new people, read a lot. Definitely read a lot. If you you can get on Twitter, you can do on TikTok. I mean, my kids learned a lot of stuff on TikTok, but even just like jumping on websites and going out to websites that, news websites, BBC, Economist, design websites, stuff like that, reading new articles. I don't know if anyone uses Flipboard anymore, but you could still, pull in your interest and just read like what articles are out there. And I think I do a lot of that. I do a ton of travel. I love to travel and meet new people and see new places. I was just in London a few weeks ago. One day I walked for 5 hours around the city with my headphones on, took tons of pictures. Awesome. Just so inspired, saw things, different things, ran into a couple of people, saw a couple of old friends that I met in different places. And all that just makes you, think differently and gives you more ideas and more, just more options. I would say don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to not know. Don't be afraid to be scared, to be confused. Don't be afraid to be afraid. Like, it's okay. No one's got it figured out. And sometimes when you see people and they look like they got it all figured out, they don't. I mean, they don't. So I think you have to just let your guard down and say it's okay to not know. For a long time, it's okay to not know. But I just think a lot of people run scared, and I don't think you need to. And then I think the other piece is if you're trying to make a career change or just trying to figure things out, it can seem very overwhelming. So just take it day by day. right? A little step here. Hey, I'm going to meet this one person. I'm going to do this thing. I think that is important. But I also think you want to set goals. And what I tell my students, and if I was, one-on-one with you, where do you want to be? Where do you want to, where do you think you want to be? And if someone had asked me that when I was 17, I would have probably said chemical engineer, working for P&G, doing some job making, and I always wanted to make my own thing. So maybe would have said I want to make my own product. But then 2 years later, I'd have been like, don't want to be a chemical engineer, don't want to work for a big company. Like, it would have been totally different, but that's okay. I think you have to think, what am I passionate about? Write it down. What do I think my goals are? Write them down. Do some things toward that to figure it out. If they change them and write it down. Because I think a lot of people just think about the goal in their head, write it down. Write it down. All my students have a portfolio. I tell them on the cover of that portfolio, write down their goals for the year, their goals for college, their goals for the class, their goals for after college. Write it all down. And then, where are you strong? Where are you weak? Just sketch it out, write it down. And because you can go slow and you can take baby steps, but you can also draw that out and not do anything, but you feel like you're doing things. And then 5 years later, you're like, well, I took a lot of baby steps. I'm still taking baby steps and I never did anything. And so I think the other piece is you've got to take it slow, but you got to figure out, where might I want to go? Not where do I have to go? Not that I have a clear vision. Where might I want to go? 3 places. I want to go here. Maybe I want to go here. Maybe I want to go here. Okay, great. How are you going to figure that out? I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to try this out. Nope, that didn't work. I'm going to talk to this person, try this out. That didn't work, until you figure it out. But you want to set those goals and try to create some progress towards those and take it seriously. Otherwise, you might float and meander forever, and you won't realize it until a long time has gone by. So I think that's the other important piece. But hopefully through this, I've given you some things to think about. And I have a lot of fun. I feel very lucky, but I'm excited. I'm as excited about what I've done the last 5.5 years, but I'm even more excited about the next 20. It's like, what's that going to look like? And I'm always trying to test new boundaries and see what else I can do, because there's parts of my job that I get bored with, and I want to do new, cool things. So one of the reasons I went to London was to go to a conference on, blockchain and crypto, because I think that's an interesting area. I want to learn about it. And I wanted to meet people in that industry who just think so different than I do. And I met like 5 or 6 super interesting people. So I think you've got to go out and do that, and try to find something you're passionate about. And you may be 60 when you figure that out, but that's okay. You may be lucky and find it at 20. For me, it took me like probably until I was 30 to find something where I'm like, oh, this is pretty sweet. I would do this without getting paid. And then my friends are like, you'd work for free? And I'm like, well, no, that's not what I mean. I mean, I would just do it because I like it. If I didn't get paid, if I won the lottery, I'd probably still do it. And so I think that's, hopefully these lessons are interesting, and hopefully it helps inspire you and gives you some new ways to think, and you have fun with it. Have fun with life, work hard, do what you can. You can't figure it all out, but it's okay to make mistakes and go be easy on yourself, because I think there's a lot of expectations, a lot of noise in this world, a lot of things look perfect. You got social media, but no one ever shows you the inside, so don't be afraid and intimidated by things that look perfect, because they're not. You got to put your blinders on, focus on yourself, help people when you can, and you just got to keep moving. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Raj. I was just shaking my head, nodding, because everything that you stated, it was just awesome, and it was just real. It was fact. It was real, and these are the types of things and feedback that we need our students, our young adults, even myself. Every time I have one of these chats, I promise I'm learning something, and it inspires me as well, because it's like, okay, I feel like a relief. It's like I just exhale, and it's like, okay, Portia, it's something that I can take in and apply, for myself. So I just thank
Good.
you for sharing
Yeah.
your insight, because this is what's needed, and we want to continue this because, every student is different. We're all individuals, fighting against certain things, and
Okay.
some of the things are similar. And so when we have someone who like, hey, they've kind of gone through something I've gone through, and they share their feedback, it's like, you know what? I can do this. And
Yeah.
definitely just being authentic and sharing your story is what is needed, is what, others should hear. And so we're just grateful for having you share, today.
Yeah,
I
of
thank you.
course.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you, Portia.